Okay, let's all be seated, please. 7 p.m. Let's call to order the County Board, Thursday, October 24th at 7 p.m. exactly. I need a roll call, please.
Quisenberry? Here. Richards? Here. Rosales? Schrader? Schwartz? Here. Alex? Here. Bergson? Here. Bergson? Here. Carter? Here. Cowart? Esri?
Here.
Harper?
Here.
Hartkey? Here. James?
Here.
Jay?
Here.
Kibler? Langenheim? Here. Maxwell? Here. McGuire?
Here.
Michaels? Here. Mitchell? Here. Petrie? Here. Kurtz?
Here. We have a quorum. Our prayer, please. Take a moment. Each season brings something new for us to see and enjoy. With sunny days and rainy days, our crops grow larger, fruit and vegetables ripen, ready for us to harvest. Thank you for all the food we have to eat. Let us remember people who may not have enough. Help us to be kind to others in our thoughts, words, and deeds. Amen. Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Notice of the meeting, please.
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene on October 24th, 2013 at 7 p.m. in the Lyle Shields Meeting Room, Brookings Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees and such other matters as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Thank you. Motion to accept, please. So move, Mr. Carter. Second. Mr. Rosales. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the approval of the agenda and addendum. Mr. Rosales first. Mr. James second. Are there any changes to the agenda? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. As you see, the date and time of the next regular meetings, the standing committees, Committee of the Whole, and the next County Board meeting. I'd like to have, I need a roll call on the consent. I'd like to have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please. Mr. James and Mr. Carter. We'll go a little bit the other way. I'll need a roll call, please.
Quisenberry?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
Rosales?
Yes.
Schwartz? Yes. Alex?
Yes.
Bergson? Yes. Carter? Yes. Cowart? Yes. Esri?
Yes.
Harper?
Yes.
Hartkey?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Langenheim?
Yep.
Maxwell?
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Michaels?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Petrie?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes. Motion carries. Public participation, as you know, the ground rules, 5 minutes per participation with an hour time limit. I don't think we'll have to get to that point. We'll start with Mr. James Kilgore.
Good evening, James Kilgore, 511 South Draper, Champaign. I'll be brief this evening. I'm hoping that I'm coming here at a good moment, that I will see the moment when you'll pass the recommended budget, including the entire $200,000 that's been set aside for social programs, and that you will also carve out what's necessary out of that to establish the reentry program that we've been pushing for consistently. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that happen. At the same time, I'd like to make a couple of other notes. One would be that I think it's important to think beyond the current year, and to recognize that as the budget for social programs necessarily expands, that one of the key resources for that is going to be the increase in public safety sales tax revenue, which comes in on an annual basis. So I hope as you make your future financial plans, you'll keep that in mind as a source of revenue for key funds to reorient the criminal justice system in this county. And then secondly, once the dust has settled on the budget issue, I hope that a key proposal from the Community Justice Task Force won't be forgotten, which isn't really so much a budgetary item as an important political item, and that's the composition and the establishment of a racial justice task force. So I hope that will come back onto the agenda when you have finished dealing with the budgetary issues. And I thank you very much for the budget that you've recommended for approval, and I trust that you'll proceed with that as per the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kilgore. Charles Jesse, please.
Hello, my name's Charlie Jesse. I own Jesse Heating and Air Conditioning, and we have had a location at 3702 West Old Church Road since 1995. And I'm just here to ask for your support, and we're wanting to expand our business and add some self-storage units beside our existing buildings. And just asking for your support. Thank you.
This one's a little tough to read. Belden Fields. Belden, I'm sorry? Fields, sorry. He has handwriting like my son.
Yeah, my name's not Bill Deerfield, 206 West Pennsylvania, Urbana. I just want to second what Mr. Kilgore did. I want to congratulate this group on budgeting the $200,000 for the public services. I think that Champaign County can become a model for other communities to follow on how we rethink the criminal justice system and get away from such a strong focus on incarceration. And that will make me very proud to be a citizen of this county. Thank you.
D. Fairchild Ruggles.
I brought something to read because I don't want to waste your time. I'm sorry, I brought something to read, so I'll be brief. I just want to say that I've been attending these meetings as best I can. I know you have to come to all of them. I come to the ones I can. Since the proposal was first put forward for an expensive new jail built at taxpayer expense. And I've observed, and on one occasion I spoke as citizens from the community have stood at the podium over there or the desk here and asked our elected representatives to put our money into social services that will actively treat the cause and consequences of incarceration and rehabilitate people who have been imprisoned. I've heard experts testify that a great many of the people in our jails are not there for violent offenses, but for failure to pay child support, drug and alcohol convictions, mental illness. If there are people in our community who honestly believe that what we need is an expensive new jail or an expansion of the present jail, I have not heard them speak. And if you believe that you are representing your constituents when you say that we need buildings rather than social services, I ask you, where are those constituents? They haven't attended. I don't believe that there are constituents who believe that. When some of you assert that roof tiles matter more than reentry programs and that somehow these are mutually exclusive, that we cannot pay for one without sacrificing the other, I'd like to know whose values you are representing. I have not heard any of the people attending these meetings express those values. Champaign County speaks at this podium and this desk week after week after week, and it has unanimously asked you to support social services reentry programs. At the Finance Committee 2 weeks ago, the committee here in this room approved a sensible plan that would provide funds for services, including funds for a reentry program. And I'm simply here to ask you tonight to listen to the people of Champaign County and to vote that budget. Thank you.
Jessica Watson, please.
Hi, my name's Jessica Watson, and I am speaking to ask for the monies to go ahead and be appropriated for social services instead of a large new county jail. And I have mental illness myself. I have schizoaffective disorder, which I've had for 18 years, and I'm 49 now. But I used to teach university, and I have my master's in English, et cetera, you know, and you just can lose everything when you suddenly get diagnosed. And you can be going along in society, doing what's right. And now I live on state money and public services. I get counseling and medicines, and it keeps me going so that I can be out doing useful and beautiful things in the community. I invite you all to come to the Champaign Park District Springer Cultural Center on November 14th, and at 6 p.m., there's a reception hosted by the Champaign Park District for my 60 pieces of photography, all based on beauty, and many of them in Champaign, Illinois, parks and all kinds of beautiful still life pictures and animals and just putting goodness into the world. So I hope you can all come to that and know that I can go from this summer, a 2-week hospitalization in the pavilion, where I could not even speak. I mean, this is how I sounded, if you can believe this. I was like, okay? Now, how do I get out of something like that when I'm 3 days, not a literal word will come out of my mouth, but just grunting because I'm in a psychotic state? Well, that takes medicines, antipsychotics that I take, that I've been taking for 18 years, always as the doctor instructs. But when I go through difficulties in life, sometimes those medications don't always work for a little while. And that's when I need help. I need community elements counseling, I need state monies, I need county monies, and I get that, and I am so grateful. There are many other people just like me, and they're just too scared to tell what they have, you know, telling that you have schizoaffective disorder. You know, some people might look down on me hearing that, okay? So I just want to speak again. I want other people to receive social services, to get the help that I'm getting, that I appreciate so much, so I can live my happy life and contribute, and not tuck people away like me into prisons where I do not want the money to go. Thank you for listening.
Aaron Ammons.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back from your cruise too, Brother Kurtz. I was thinking of some different things to address as well, but of course the main issue for us here tonight, or for those of us who've been working on this jail campaign, is to come and observe and to see if there's going to actually be the follow through that we anticipate, or that we hope will take place. And I just want us to really think about something that was shared a long time ago at one of these meetings, about how you can tell where the priorities are. And so, of course, where the money is spent is where the priorities are. And in order for us to actually have buildings and things that are shiny and new and be able to remodel things, you know, there has to be a significant amount of money put forth. And that's what was done for many, many years, millions and millions of dollars to maintain those things. So what has been carved out of a budget for the possibilities of social programs and reentry programs is a couple $100,000 for 1 year that I can see. I don't even see a commitment that says that this is going to last for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and it's appreciated from all of us who've been working on these issues. But I want us to make sure that we're clear that if we want things to be successful, then you have to put real money behind these programs and these different initiatives if you want to see success and you want to see a long-term a product that is actually something that we can be proud of. So I'm certainly hoping that nothing will be taken away from what's being put forth this evening, and hoping that in the future we'll actually find ways to even increase or to build upon what we've already started, so that we can have a population of individuals who are well trained, well educated, and able to actually be a part of the employment pool that we have or that we're trying to create. Without that type of training, then we cannot, since we don't have as much of an agrarian society or agriculture and the factories and stuff that we had once before, we have to seriously consider what it takes to put and to support our citizens so that they have the skills, technological skills or whatever it may be, so that they can compete in today's job market. So I'm just hoping that you all will keep your focus and keep your promise or your pledge thus far. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Marlon? Marlon Mitchell. Well, just pass it down, and they'll pass it to me. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Marlon Mitchell, I'm the Director of Prison Ministry for Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church, which is located at 808 East Bradley here in Champaign. I just wanted to come to you all tonight and just kind of reiterate some of the things that we've been discussing, not only the last couple weeks, but the last year and a half, as far as with this county jail proposal. I had a very interesting conversation with a young man yesterday. Well, actually, he works for Illinois Redeploy. So outside these quarters, we do have people that are watching us as far as wanting to know what this reentry program is all about. He shared some things with me in detail about how things work with Illinois Redeploy. And one of the questions I had for him was the funding. Now, he's more than aware that the $200,000 that has been pledged here a couple weeks ago about the financing and just as a startup program, potentially. And so the question I had for him was, do you think in the future you will be able to kind of support us and the county board or Champaign County with these funds? And he was very optimistic as if we can get something going, he would support. So we here in Champaign County I would like to think of us as being innovators here in downstate. There are certain things that's going on in the Chicago area, but that's a major metropolitan area. So I would like to think Champaign to be a very progressive county. So I want to thank you all for the last 2 weeks of conversation, the meetings that I had with certain individuals that are on the county board for the support, and I just ask that you all do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishes to speak? All right, at this time, I'm closing public participation. Thank you all. Do we have any communications? Lorraine?
I would like to invite the Champaign County Board and the public to attend a discussion that's going to be held at the Civic Center on the 29th of October, which is next Tuesday, from 5 to 7, to discuss the Lincoln Avenue extension up to Olympic Drive. This discussion is going to be hosted by the City of Champaign, the County Highway Department here, and the consultant engineer for the project. And once again, that'll be at the Civic Center, Tuesday, October 29th, from 5 to 7.
Thank you. Any other communication? Max?
Just want to give you an update that helping, a local business came and is working with zoning, and also just follow up from earlier this spring with LA Gourmet that we supported them in their efforts with respect to zoning. and they are opening on November 2nd. So it's taken from just a concept to bricks and mortar. And, you know, they can host events as large as 450 people. So I think that's great. And then in addition to that, I wanted to pass along a new publication that's out with respect to the Convention and Visitors Bureau showcasing Champaign County places to eat. And this is, it's called Triple D Galore along 74.
Would you pass that down to me, please?
And
No,
it's-
just kidding, just kidding. Sorry.
And anyway, it's an opportunity for you to cruise on 74, but, you know, showcases Champaign County, all the unique dining experiences there are. So with respect to development, I'm happy to see that activity is taking place.
Thanks, Max. I always like to look for new restaurants that I can participate in. Is there any other communications from the board? I have two letters I'd like to read into the record. First, from the Illinois Department of Transportation that came to me today. Dear Mr. Kurtz, thank you for your October 2nd letter of support for the I-57, I-74 interchange reconstruction project. As we have indicated in our discussions with you and other stakeholders, this project will require approximately $70 million for Phase 2 engineering and land acquisition, utility relocation, and construction. We are approximately 35% complete on Phase 1 study, with the completion anticipation in late 2014. We'd like to clarify that the interchange as a whole is not a 5% accident location. The 5% location, as referred to in our presentation, is a small segment of eastbound I-74 from the bridge just east of the ramp. This does not lessen our commitment to improve the safety of this interchange. In fact, we are currently working on a contract to improve the skid resistance of the ramps by applying a high-friction material. With that contract, we are also adding speed indicator signs to the external ramps in an effort to warn drivers of their speed. These lower-cost initiatives should improve the safety of the ramps until a reconstruction project can be funded. We look forward to working with you in the Champaign County community to keep a highway safe and in serviceable condition. If you have any additional questions or comments, please contact Mr. Craig A. Aberson. This is Joseph Crow, Deputy Director of Highways, Region 3 Engineer. Second letter is from the Sangamon Valley Public Water District I received yesterday. Dear Alan Kurtz, on behalf of the nearly 5,000 Sangamon Valley Public Water District customers, the Board of Trustees and staff want to take this opportunity to thank you, Mr. Alan Kurtz, for supporting our two recent zoning use permits. With the adoption of these two permits, the Sangamon Valley Public Water District intends to enhance our water treatment and storage facilities with the construction of a state-of-the-art water treatment plant and a new storage tank. The new water treatment plant will allow the Sangamon Valley Public District to improve water treatment, also increase our capacity to serve additional customers. It will include leading-edge technology, improved ion filtration, state-of-the-art water softening, and updated disinfection processes. The new facilities are being designed with sustainability in mind and will include a focus on energy efficiency and water reuse systems. The additional storage tank will not only increase the water supply and pressure for customers, but also add emergency storage for fire safety purposes. Ultimately, is the mission of the Sangamon Valley Public District to protect the public health and environment, to provide quality water services in a reliable, affordable, and customer-oriented fashion, and to maintain a vision of future growth and needs for our customers. The approval of the zoning use permits allowed the Sangamon Valley Public District to continue to fulfill its mission for our valued customers. Again, thank you for taking the time to study and take action on this important issue for residents of the county. We sincerely appreciate your attention to this vital issue, and I want to thank the entire board. This letter is for all of us. Thank you. We'll move on. I'd like a motion to approve of the minutes September 9th and September 24th study session. Max, and second, Mr. Carter. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Audit report and presentation, Mr. Farney.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce Hope Wheeler from Clifton Larson Allen. Hope is one of the principals there and has been our contact person throughout the audit process this year. Just want to let you know that well over 2,000 hours of work went into this project. And as the first time, since I'm the new auditor and new chief deputy, it was quite an experience. And I have to give my compliments to Ms. Ramsey. If we had not been able to hire a professional with government experience, this audit would still be going on. This is such a complicated, specialized thing. You have to know what you're doing. And so this body of work is mostly hers, and I really want to compliment her on that work. So at this time, I'm going to let Ms. Wheeler give you the outside auditor's report, and then if there's any discussion, we'll stick around.
Hello, thank you for having me tonight to present a summary of our audit process. I'll just start out by walking through the process a little bit with you. We started actually way back last December. We came in and did some preliminary work then. We select some transaction and test the design of the controls and determine, based on that, what our audit plan should be. We also start putting together trial balances for some of the agency funds, such as the circuit clerk, county clerk, recorder, and treasurer's office. We also do the circuit clerk's audit, compliance audit in January. Then February, we try to leave the county alone and let them close the year end. We come back in March, and then that's when we performed our year-end audit work. At that point in time, we are confirming your revenues and receivables. We're selecting transactions to test and doing analytical review of payroll, just to name some of the procedures. As John said, it's a lengthy process on our end also. In April then, we have scheduled what's called the single audit. That, because you have over $500,000 in federal expenditures, we have to do some special audit procedures on that. The single audit is primarily conducted in the RPC office. We tested 5 major programs this year. Referring to I assume you all have the document, the audit report, page 262, that includes the federal funds for the year. You had $15 million of federal expenditures this year. We have to go through special procedures to determine which funds to test. As I said, we selected 5 programs to test, including weatherization, Head Start, Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant, LIHEAP, and then the Access Initiative Mental Health Services Grant. As a result of that special federal audit there, we did have 3 findings that are in your report, page 269, 270, and 271. Those were all findings related to the Access Initiative grants. They were actually all repeat findings. One about allowable costs for interest incurred being charged to the grant. One about cash management, having cash on hand in advance of when you need to spend the money. And the third one related to reporting, some errors in reporting and some late reporting. After we get done with the federal audit or the single audit, that's when we audit the actual financial statement. Normally, we do that work in June. The report gets wrapped up in May, and we do that in June, and then are presenting to you in July. This year, as John mentioned, there were transitions in the auditor's office, and so there were some significant delays in receiving the financial statements to audit. We started receiving those at the end of June, got more in July, and then in August and September. So that process was delayed, understandably so. It is a big process to take on. And we did find some things that we had to go back and forth with some changes, but overall, I'd say it was a good process, and your department did a good job. The fixed assets were another item that was received a little bit late. Normally, we have that in April or May to audit, and we didn't get that until later in the year. But we did get everything. It is all done now. You have the report. The good news there also is overall, you have a clean or unmodified opinion stating that those financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Just to highlight another few pages in that document, because I know it's such a large document. Page 39, if you want to go to a few key pages in there. I've referenced some already. Page 39 is another page. Page 39 shows the major funds of the county, major in accounting standards. the way we have to calculate them, includes the general fund, the mental health fund, developmental disability fund, IMRF fund, and RPC fund, and then it groups almost all the other funds together into one column. That page 39 shows those major funds, and it shows then for your year ended November 30, 2013, that all of those funds had a positive change for the year of revenues over expenditures, and they all have a positive fund balance. Page 41 shows the enterprise funds, or the business type funds. That shows the nursing home as a major fund. So you can see there, oh, I'm sorry, that's on page 43 and 44 is
Mr.
the
Chair,
nursing home.
Can we ask what report this is that is being referred to?
I'm sorry.
What report are you referring to?
If I might. The report was intended to be put on the website so I could send it to all of you today. Mr. Rhodes didn't have a chance to get to it in IT. He got the budget up today but did not get the audit report. So I apologize for that. It should be on the website tomorrow for you to look at, but it's a 300-page document that there's no way we could print that for all of you tonight.
That explains why I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yes.
Thank you.
I was.
Sorry, I did not know
You
you
were
did.
jumping on the same thing at this point. All right, let's finish up the verbal presentation and then give us those pages so that we can review them when we get a chance to see the full packet. This is sort of horse behind the cart,
Can
Rachel.
we put it on the agenda, for next meeting so we can discuss it? We may not have to bring her back, but
Does that,
that would pretty much mitigate the whole idea of looking at an audit when we don't have an audit report.
It's fine with me.
Would that be fine with you, JJ?
Really, we intended to have it to you, and
You wanna put it at the
about
cap?
4 o'clock today, I asked Andy and said, yeah. Yeah, right. We tried.
If it's okay with the board, can we put it on the next cow so that we have a couple of weeks to look at it, then get a report so that we have some questions? I know Mr. Carter's shaking his head because he doesn't like to get something not even dropped on his desk on the same night. This time, we didn't even get one. So, Chris, did you have something?
Yeah, Deb, what are the board's action requirements with regard to the audit? Is there a timeliness requirement for that, or can we do it next month? If we had it, I'd be happy to do that, but I mean, I think we could receive the audit letter and place it on file, but as far as the report, not until we see it. Mr. Auditor, would you be okay with that? I mean, we can acknowledge receipt of your letter and place it on file.
I
But,
can, if you want to have a physical copy, I can give you the one I have, and you can say you've got that.
well, we haven't seen it yet.
Right, I know, yeah, I agree.
Not until the presentation's done, but I guess I would ask you to summarize anything you can based on the audit letter that doesn't require us to have the report in front of us to understand. And then we can, is there already, there's not already a finance action item for this, right?
No.
So, I mean, I would say in other business, we could move to receive this and place it on file. We receive and place the audit letter on file, but I think we should add a action item to the finance cow to receive and place the full audit on file, unless I'm missing something, Deb.
Do it as part of this audit report and presentation.
Okay, in that
Because it's
case,
on the agenda.
I'll do that once you're done with the
Right.
report.
Rachel?
If I can ask you, just because we have not seen it, nor can we look at it now, just to repeat again the findings, not the process and all that, that's fine, but specifically project access, you said you had 3 findings, and any other findings?
was gonna be my
Not just the page number, but if you don't mind going back to explain the finding and the amounts related?
Just give us the high points on those 3 issues.
Okay.
Since we haven't seen anything else, so let's
Okay.
work on that, and then we'll move to the cow on it, okay?
Okay. I was about finished anyway, so jumping back to the findings, there were 3 findings related to the federal audit. One was on allowable costs, and you can't charge interest paid to grants. It was a very small amount, but we're required to report it. It was less than $200. It was credit card interest. The second item is cash management requirements. With federal funds, you can't have too much money come in advance. You're supposed to get it as you're spending it. Well, I'll give them some credit there. The state was just sending money whenever they wanted to, and they didn't really want to send it back for fear of not getting it back. We still have to report it. And that balance has been shrinking. That's been there, that finding's been there for a couple of years, and that is shrinking as the Access Initiative grant is being spent up. Then the third one was reporting, and part of this was a new finding. In the sample of reports we looked at, some of them were not filed on time. They were not extremely late, they were just a few days late. And then some of them had some incorrect program income numbers on them. Not a significant dollar amount item, but items we still have to report. And we just recommend improvements in the controls over that so you can make sure the reports are filed on time and that someone reviews them to make sure all the figures are accurate.
Okay, thank you. James, and then
Yeah,
Patsy.
if, for the first one and the third one, could you be more specific about where those problems occurred? What part of the budget, what organization was responsible for it?
All three of those findings were related to Access Initiative grant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you brought those up while you're here in front of us. I do remember last year, too much cash money on, and so that aspect. But what I want to focus on is what is the proper procedure? Is it the auditor? Is it a report to Access Initiative through the auditor? We have a liaison from the county board to Access Initiative to get some checks and balances in, so next year we don't see this kind of report pertaining to this particular program. It's a very large program monetarily, and so maybe you have some suggestions for us. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the first and the third finding that, as you mentioned, those could be addressed either by additional reviews by management within the mental health department or the Access Initiative group, potentially by the auditor's office too.
I've already spoken with the folks that handle the billing and mental health for the Access Initiative, and I know that Mr. Tracy, he responded to this, and he's aware of the situation. They've let the folks, it's a very small number of employees that deal with this, and so a lot of it is just behavioral change, reminding them to get those in on time, and so they understand that it's being watched. This is, second year that this has happened, but we've already started discussing it just yesterday.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Mr. Carter?
You mentioned the right thing. Now, if we're going to have a chance to sit down and discuss this, there's no use to this. Let's defer this and have the talk and understand it and pass it.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. We want to post the letter on file. Do you want to, Chris?
I move that we accept the audit letter and place it on file, and that we schedule a agenda item for the next Finance Committee of the Whole to review the audit and accept that.
I have a motion by Mr. Alex and a second by Mr. James. The discussion, James.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make what I feel is an annual comment and note that as we accept this letter and place it on file, we are responsible for the risk that is implied by the items under the information technology area, which show us very specific deficiencies that we need to address, and it won't be easy to address some of them. But as the policy and governing board that's responsible for these things, by accepting this letter and placing it on file, we're recognizing that this risk exists, and if we don't do anything about it, we accept the consequences of that. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Sure, and if anyone wants a printed bound copy, those are going to the printer tomorrow. If you would like one of those, they're very costly, but we can get those for you. So let me know after the meeting tonight if you need one. I know we're sending one to the county board chairman and the county administrator as always, but if an individual board member would like one, please let me know.
Why don't,
But it'll be
keep one
online
in
by
the
tomorrow. But
office
if you
here,
want
someone
one
else
that
will
the
look at
county will print for you at a
Rest of yours?
nice bound edition, we can get it for you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, let's move on. Where are we here now? Standing committees. Okay, let's start. We have ELOC, we have Mr. Langenheim, please.
I move approval of ordinance 932, amending the zoning map, changing the designation from Ag 1 Agriculture to B1 Rural Trade Center on property at 3702 Old Church Road, Champaign, in zoning case 758-AM-13. Okay. Whatever. We moved it, I think. This zoning amendment allows addition of a self-storage warehouse at a long-standing rural business, Jesse Heating and Air Conditioning, which has been operating from this location since 1995. ELOC voted approval 4-1 with 2 members absent. The Zoning Board of Appeals voted 4-0 with 2 members absent to recommend enactment of this amendment at its September 12, 2013 public meeting. The ZBA also approved the proposed self-storage warehouse in a related zoning case 729S-13 at the same public hearing with the same vote, 4-0. The ZBA found that the proposed map amendment will help achieve the land resource management plan, is consistent with the LaSalle and Sinclair factors, and will help achieve the purpose of the zoning ordinance. The City of Champaign has submitted a written protest against this rezoning, and therefore it will require 17 affirmative votes for passage. The ZBA was aware of the municipal protest, but determined that the city's comprehensive plan ignored this long-standing rural business, and the property is well-suited overall for the proposed self-storage warehouse because of its relatively small size, 11 acres, and triangular shape are not conducive to production agriculture, and proximity to the Interstate 57 and limited street frontage are not conducive to residential development, nor is there access to sanitary sewers. And the self-storage warehouse does not require infrastructure improvements nor place inordinate demands on public services. I also note that a roll call vote of 17 affirmative votes is required for approval of this amendment.
Take a deep breath there, Mr. Langenheim.
I will do that.
You did, okay. Mr. Alex?
Since I noticed the agenda didn't have this start as a roll call, I will request a roll call to make it official.
Would have requested one as well. All right. Are there any discussion on this issue at this point? All right, roll call vote, please. What's that? Mr. Carter?
Is this the same property that we've been talking about? That's,
That little piece of property that is bordered by a ditch on I-57, and he just wants to expand his business just a little bit on that property. And the ZBA approved that.
okay. What, it's already zoned, right? It have been first time.
It's being rezoned, but it is not currently being cultivated.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, let's have a roll call, please.
Quisenberry?
Yes.
Richards? Yes. Rosales? Yes. Schwartz? Alex?
Yes.
Bergson,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Cowart. Esri,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Hartke,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Langenheim,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Michaels. Mitchell,
Yes.
Petrie,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes. Motion carries. To Langenheim. Let's move on to facilities.
There was no action items, and the report is in everybody's packet. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Highway and Transportation, Ms. Cowart.
Excuse me. Highway Transportation has one item, and that is the adoption of resolution number 8675, authorizing contact with the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network, the IPWMAN, and I so move.
Can I have a second, please? I have a second by Mr. John Jay. We have any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There is a response summary of action. Policy. Mr. Quisenberry.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Policy moves the adoption of resolution number 8676, authorizing an agreement between the CU Public Health District, County of Champaign, and the Champaign County Health Department for Public Health Services by CU Public Health District to Champaign County Health Department. I will note that there are additional adjustments that were at your desk this evening, and I so move.
I second.
By Mr. Maxwell. And any discussion on this issue? Ms. Petrie.
I have a couple of clarification questions on the document that was on our desks as we arrived this evening. There's no indication as to who wrote the cover sheet to this document. Can somebody help me with that?
I prepared the cover sheet from an email from Mr. Grosser, who provided these changes at the request of the Board of Health at their meeting on Tuesday evening of this week.
Who is Mr. Grosser?
He is he's the attorney for the Champaign-Urbana Public Health District, who has been working with Mr. DeThorne of the state's attorney's office to negotiate to get the language in place for this contract. He represents CUPHD. Mr. DeThorne has been representing both the county and the County Board of Health.
Okay, and so I'd like to focus my next inquiry on the last paragraph, where it is an explanation of shall and will. And this use of shall and will is pertaining to the legal document. Is that accurate?
Correct.
It was always my understanding that there is a difference between these words when they're used in a legal document.
We had this discussion that evening, and you're absolutely right, and that was brought forth. So shall means that's the way it is, will
It's
means.
mandated.
There you go. So Betty Siegel, who used to work for the CDC in Atlanta, Georgia, used to do a lot of their reviews and editing, caught a lot of these words and did an excellent job in pointing them all out. And she's been waiting 5 long years to get this done because the contract is for 5 years. So kudos go to her for doing due diligence.
Okay, so in this contract, shall is being used as mandated, will is being used as you may or may not. You have the choice.
That's correct.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I'm a lawyer.
Alex.
I'm not a lawyer, but where are we in the approval hierarchy here? Have all the other potential parties seen this, at least seen this language?
The Board of Health approved it at their meeting Tuesday evening. However, they approved it with changes that Mr. Grosser said could not be incorporated. So they will have a special meeting after the joint study session they have with CUPHD next Monday to approve it. So you are actually then the first approving it in this version, and it is expected to go to the Champaign-Urbana Public Health District at their meeting, I believe, in the first week of November.
Is it anticipated that they will approve it in the form that we are likely to approve it in, or is it going to come back?
I believe the Board of Health, based on their discussions this past Tuesday night, will accept it with what the attorney has said is required based on their requested changes. I believe the attorney for Champaign-Urbana Public Health District who wrote this, as you have it here before you tonight, will fully support it being approved by that board as well.
I hate to go first on these things, but I know somebody has to.
Just to clarify, as a member of that board, Public Health and Secretary, when it comes to our desk, I will recuse myself because I'll be voting on this issue this evening. But the other two, I'm sure, as will take the recommendation of our attorney for that organization.
Thank you.
Mr. Carter.
Mr. Chairman, I just want you to kind of make a statement what you told me about I don't have no problem with the 5 years, but something happened, protect us, can we open that? We had to.
Yeah, as I stated in caucus, there is in the contract, even after 1 year or 2 years, if we're not happy with it, we have a 12-month open opportunity to cancel or work on the contract. So
Okay.
Within that agreement, there's a
Right.
12-month opening for us.
I just want the whole board to understand.
Yes, okay. James.
Sorry for dragging this out, but I'm curious about the thought process behind you voting on it here and recusing yourself there, since in both places you're there as the chair of the county board. So if you could share your thought process on that, I would like to understand it.
That's a good question. I felt that being the chair and having to sign this agreement for it to be approved was more of the priority, and there are only a 3-member board at the Public Health, and felt that if I recuse myself, it would not affect the agreement and the contract as we approve it tonight. That way, I wouldn't have a conflict of interest on both sides.
If I can follow up.
Sure.
The only reason why you're on that board is because you're the chair of the county
Yes,
board.
I'm afraid so.
You're there to represent us, and
That's why I'm gonna
that's
recuse-
not
well-
that is your interest. That's not a conflict of interest.
You could check with legal before that meeting.
Yeah, I will check, as Ms. Busey said, I will make sure I check with legal to make sure I know what basis I stand on that recusal. Okay, thanks, James. All right, thank you for your follow-up, Mr. Quisenberry. It's always entertaining. Shall we have a vote on this if there's no other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. James, continue, please.
Next, policy moves the adoption of resolution number 8677, authorizing the fiscal year 2014 self-funded insurance for property, liability, and workers' compensation, and I so move.
We have a first. I need a second by Mr. McGuire. Good evening. Thank you. Any discussion on this resolution? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Come on, I want to hear some voices here. We're getting a little tired now. Continue, please, James.
Next, policy recommends the adoption of resolution number 8678, a resolution honoring county employees that states, whereas it is the vision of the Champaign County Board to be a recognized leader in local government, where every official and employee has a personal devotion to excellence in public service and embraces the highest standards of ethics and integrity, which enables Champaign County to provide the best customer services to its citizens. And whereas one element of pursuing this vision is communicating to employees that their service to Champaign County is valued and appreciated. And whereas Champaign County employees admirably serve the people of Champaign County with full commitment to the responsibilities of county offices, work in partnership with fellow employees and county officials, and have dedication to the best interests of all the people of Champaign County. And whereas the Champaign County Board wishes to recognize the dedication and service of employees who have reached a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40-year milestones in fiscal year 2013. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Board of Champaign County hereby recognizes each of the individuals who aforementioned, which I didn't actually mention, Champaign County employees as an asset to the citizens of Champaign County and expresses gratitude and sincere appreciation for their years of service. And I so move.
I'm sorry, I heard second, but I'm not sure. Oh, Mr. Langenheim. Thank you. James?
And I will point out that all of these individuals will be recognized at a luncheon on Tuesday, October 29th of this year, and all county board members are invited to attend and
What's that
participate.
time on that, James?
I believe it's 11:30.
11:30 a.m. Thank you. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next, policy recommends the adoption of resolution number 8679, resolution honoring retiring county employees. Whereas it is the vision of Champaign County Board to be a recognized leader in local government, where every official and employee has a personal devotion to excellence in public service and embraces the highest standards of ethics and integrity, which enables Champaign County to provide the best customer services to its citizens. And whereas one element of pursuing this vision is communicating to employees that their service to Champaign County is valued and appreciated. And whereas Champaign County employees admirably serve the people of Champaign County with full commitment to the responsibilities of county offices, work in partnership with fellow employees and county officials, and have dedication to the best interest of all the people of Champaign County. And whereas the Champaign County Board wishes to recognize the dedication and service of employees who are retiring in fiscal year 2013. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Board of Champaign County hereby recognizes each of the aforementioned retiring Champaign County employees as an asset to the citizens of Champaign County and expresses gratitude and sincere appreciation for their years of service, and I so move.
Second by Mr. John Jay. Discussion?
I will point out again that the entire list of retirees will be recognized individually at the luncheon on Tuesday.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move Mr. Oops, that's all for policy. Thank you. Mr. Quisenberry, Mr. Alex, Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move adoption of resolution number 8680, payment of claims authorization.
Need a second by Ms. Michaels. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move adoption of resolution number 8681, purchases not following the purchasing policy.
Second by Mr. James. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Kurtz. I move adoption of Finance recommends adoption of ordinance number 934, authorizing a loan to the Champaign County Nursing Home from a bank or financial institution, and I would request leave to speak to the motion.
Okay, I need a second. Second by Mr. Quisenberry.
Thank you, Mr. Kurtz. This was sent to us by the Finance Committee based on the presumption that the loan strategy requested here would be cheaper than the tax anticipation warrants, which we've used in the past. My understanding is the treasurer has since learned that that is not the case. We prefer to go with the tax anticipation warrants, so he is asking that we vote against this, and I will do so.
Okay, so clarification. Any other discussion? You understand what we're voting here? Okay. All in favor? All opposed? Aye. Motion fails. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Finance moves adoption of resolution number Finance recommends adoption of resolution number 8682, authorizing budget amendment 13-10 for the nursing home for $600,984 as a budget cleanup item as discussed at the committee of the whole meeting.
I need a second. Mr. Maxwell. On these next three issues, this number 4, we'll need a roll call and 15 votes for approval. Can I have a roll call, please?
Quisenberry? Yes. Richards? Yes. Rosales? Yes. Schwartz? Yes. Alex? Yes. Bergson? Carter? Cowart? Esri? Harper? Hartkey? James? Jay? Langenheim? Maxwell? McGuire? Michaels? Mitchell? Petrie?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In a similar vein, Finance recommends adoption of Resolution Number 8683. The other half of this budget amendment, this is 13-00011 for the nursing home. This is $461,390. Again, budget cleanup for expenses for fiscal year 2012 paid in fiscal year 2013, and I so move.
Need a second? Mr. Hartke. Again, we need a roll call and 15 votes.
Quisenberry? Richards? Rosales? Schwartz? Alex? Bergson? Carter? Cowart? Esri? Harper? Hartkey? James? Jay? Langenheim? Maxwell? McGuire? Michaels? Mitchell? Petrie?
Yes.
Kurtz?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Finance recommends adoption of Resolution Number 8684, authorizing budget amendment 13-51, $5,053 from the fund balance to cover publication costs for search committee postings for the Deputy County Administrator for Finance and Facilities Director's positions, and I so move.
Second. Second by Mr. Esri. Again, a roll call and 15, please.
Quisenberry? Richards? Rosales? Schwartz? Alex? Bergson? Carter? Cowart? Esri? Harper? Hartkey?
Yes.
James? Jay? Langenheim? Maxwell? McGuire? Michaels? Mitchell? Petrie?
No.
Kurtz?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Finance recommends adoption of Resolution Number 8685 to receive and place on file the fiscal year 2014 budget, and I so move.
Second by Mr. Quisenberry. Discussion. Mr. Alex.
I'd just like to thank everyone on the board and on the Finance Committee for going through what's been a particularly lengthy and complex process with regard to this year's budget. I am proud of the fact that I think the board has come up with a budget that, although it certainly does not make everybody happy, I think is a good step forward as far as meeting a lot of the priorities that the board wants to pursue in the coming year, and I would encourage my fellow board members to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alex. Is there any other discussion? And seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move adoption of ordinance number 9, Finance Finance recommends adoption of ordinance number 935, increasing statutory county clerk, recorder, and sheriff fees for Champaign County, Illinois, and I so move.
Second by Mr. McGuire. Any discussion? Mr. Mitchell.
Would there be an opportunity to bifurcate these groups,
To what?
split them out?
You can make a motion to split them out.
Okay.
You want to make what do you want to split out?
Recorder fees,
The court fees?
recorder,
The recorder fees, okay. You want to make that motion?
make a motion that we
Makes a motion to
separate.
split out recorder fees. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Michaels. All right, let's move out. Well, wait a minute, got to vote on it. We got to discuss it. Mr. Quisenberry.
Yeah, I would like an explanation as to why it should be split out.
Please,
It's
let's wait a second for everybody who has to leave to leave. Okay, Mr. Mitchell. Go ahead.
I guess in my day job, I'm an advocate for the rights of private property owners, and because of that, if increasing the fees would cause harm and burden on the private property owners, and it's an additional tax.
Mr. Quisenberry.
Yeah, I'm going to vote to not divide the question. I'm going to vote no on this because I believe we have looked at raising fees and we're doing it in several areas, some of which I don't particularly agree with and think we need to look harder at, but in the nature of compromise and coming together to make something happen, I think we should vote on these together. Thanks.
Rachel.
I would think that all fees are a form of tax, so if we're opposed to that, we're opposed to all of them. I don't see any particular difference. The other problem I have is we just passed the budget that's based on these fees. I mean, we might have wanted to switch the order, but if these fees are not going to be approved, the budget is not balanced. So we're going to have to go back and, for all those who voted for the budget, you can't really vote for the budget without voting yes for the fees.
Mr. James.
I guess my argument to Rachel would be, even though we increase the fees, these are all estimates. The budget could still not be balanced, so that's not really a good argument. I always have a hard time raising fees. I know there was a justification for them. But when we look at this, the argument always is we need the money.
Yeah, this is just to it's splitting out.
The splitting
two
out.
stand. Well, we can discuss that at the main motion.
And I was sort of getting to that, but
Okay.
so with Max's motion there, I'm going to lean toward, because the discussion, at the time we had discussion, limited at best, so I'm going to support his motion.
Okay. Any other discussion? Mr. Richards and then Mr. McGuire.
I want to echo Mr. Quisenberry and say I'm going to vote against this division because I think everybody can find one of these fees they don't like. Nobody wants to raise fees. User fees are not always the best way to go, but this is, we looked at these in the whole, decided this is what we need to do. I don't think we should start splitting these up.
Mr. McGuire.
Yes, I'd agree with that also, that we could just take every one of these apart. None of us are very happy with any of it. And while this is a budget, and budgets are just an estimate, as he said, without a lot of this money, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's going to be way out of budget, not just partially out of budget.
Microphone, please. Ms. Bergson.
Because of the tax caps, we have to get the money from somewhere.
That was short and sweet.
I'm going to also support to keep them all together and vote on it. I totally agree on it because as Lloyd Carter had mentioned, the disenfranchised community is also subject to some of those fees and some of those raises. Also, the LGBT community with the marriage licenses are also subject to those super high triple fees that have been added for this year. So I tend to support the whole shebang to keep the budget balanced.
Any other discussion? All right, this is on the motion to separate only. Mr. Quisenberry?
And to clarify,
Yeah,
voting aye will be to separate and
okay.
nay to be to
This is
keep it
separate-
together.
okay.
Is that correct?
This is to separate the recorder, am I correct? Out of this ordinance? And vote on it separately. A no fails, a yes separates. Okay? All right? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No. Motion fails. We go back to the main motion on the adoption of 935. We have a discussion now. We're already on the floor on that.
I'd like to follow up on something that, that both Mr. James and Ms. Bergson said. You know, it is true that the justification for fee increases is generally we need the money, but I think it's worth discussing why we need the money. And I think we need to remember, it's been a long time since these fees have been increased. Energy costs continue to go up, healthcare costs continue to go up, state funding continues to go down, and tax caps leave us with little other ways to raise revenue. So to some extent, I would rather see these costs of some of these services be more subsidized by property tax, but because that is not an option, I think the only fair thing to do at this point is to increase these fees as determined by the fee study to cover the costs of providing these services so that the county can use its limited resources to provide the other services their citizens expect.
Thank you. Ms. Petrie was next, then Mr. James.
Yes, I want to get on the record so that it happens down the line. I am so enamored with the fee raises and how this came about. And I've been thinking, since we had the discussion on them, and Mr. Carter's comments during our COW meeting in relationship to the burden on the lower income citizens of our county. Every single fee across the board was doubled, and the marriage fee was tripled, and that could be done because that's the statute limitation, without any conversation at all how it's going to impact certain subset of our citizens in the county. And when I mentioned to just have a discussion about raising the quarter-cent public safety tax, the quarter-cent increment, I got it from all sides saying, I'll never raise a tax, and it's regressive. Well, what do you think these fees are? They're a tax, and they are as regressive as possible. So I've raised within the Democratic caucus the possibility of putting in place people from both sides of the aisle to sit down and have a conversation to ferret out what exists presently in the county to mitigate some of these increases for the lower income population. And if there are gaps in what is already available, to have them bring to the board a discussion of how we can fill those gaps. If in fact I hear this evening that that will indeed happen, then I can support it. If I hear tonight that's not going to happen, I won't support this fee increase.
Ms. Bergson, microphone, please.
In the first place, a 0.25% increase, it takes, about 2 or 3 million out of the county. That's a lot of the money. And with regard to the fees, there are fee waivers in place for almost all of these fees. If you want to look at anything, you can check whether the fee waivers should be tweaked. But I don't think we should unbalance the budget and chase down all these fees for the sake of the poor who are already covered with the fee waivers.
Okay, we'll go with. That's all right. Mr. Langenheim hasn't spoken. Mr. Langenheim.
Give him the
James.
chair.
We'll give Mr. Langenheim, then Mr. James, and then Mr. Alex, please. Thank you.
I'm first.
Go right ahead, sir.
Okay.
Age before beauty. Oh,
Well,
I meant
I'm glad you're recognizing beauty. These fees purportedly are being raised to cover the cost of the services. That seems to me to be a very fair approach. The people using a service should pay for the service. They have built into them a system of waivers and adjustments for some cases, which is all fair and good, but I see little sense in arguing against charging for what is actually costing us to do.
Mr. James.
Well, I just wanted to comment a couple of things that Chris said first is that, about not raising fees. It wasn't too long ago, we did raise the marriage fee, and we have looked at ticket fees and some other fees. This thing that we've had a study and that we need to keep the budget in line. Last night on the national news, it was headlines that a lot of colleges are cutting their tuition costs and other costs because people can't afford it anymore. And a fee to me, we can put it in any kind of box we want. It's a tax to the people that use the service. When I go to court, the judge tells me, when I tell him, well, I'd like to get my postage back and my certified mail money back, that's a cost of doing business. That's all built in when you're doing some of that stuff. I just think that, we're always looking for money, 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 and Mr. Bensel, when he was on this board, pointed out one time in a meeting that we're here to provide service. Yes, we've got to get the money back, but when we started these fees, some of them have jumped up quite a bit. And just because the state says that's the maximum doesn't mean that we have to follow that maximum. And I think that we should be looking at it carefully, doing what's right, And I've seen a lot of businesses raise their service fees and their other costs, and guess what? They're no longer in business. And I'm here to get the best bang for the people I represent, and I'm sure everybody in this room is. But just to say to balance your budget, you have to do it, that just upsets me, because government is here to provide the service, do the things for the people, and if we need to cut salaries, we need to cut benefits, we need to cut some other stuff, then we ought to look at that before we keep raising fees.
Mr. Alex?
I certainly agree with Ms. Petrie that it would be appropriate for members of this board to look at what programs are in place and what programs perhaps should be in place to mitigate the effect of fees on lower income ratepayers and residents. And I would think that's a good idea, whether or not we raise fees. So I would certainly be supportive of that approach and do what I can to further that.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. James. And I'm same way you are. You know, when you look at this, I don't mind paying for service, but when you handcuff somebody, bring him in, I can't see the price go up. What's the difference unless in this bring them a long way that if you process them, it's the same process. And I don't mind rate, but just look at it, you all. I have seen these people work part-time jobs. That's all they can get anymore. For $8 an hour. Then you turn around and go get a hamburger and some fries, you pay, the $8 gone. And not only that, every time that somebody mentions minimum wage, they don't go up, they just mention it. Go back to your grocery store. The same product was $1, they don't go up a dime. They go up $1, $1.50 on the people. Chicken wings used to be the cheapest thing you can buy. We used to go over there on North Neal, and they give you chicken wings. Look at chicken wings now. I'm just making a parable, y'all. These people are hurting. They're really suffering. And nobody look at that. Nobody look at it just, well, you know. Then when they go stealing, then they're bad. Who makes them bad? We do. When we don't look out for them, we do.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Rich?
I have a question for Ms. Busey. Is it true, my impression is if we don't pass the fees, the increases we had to facilities and so on in the last cow would not be feasible? Don't we have an obligation to keep the balanced budget, given
Well,
the estimate?
you do have a balanced budget policy, and I would suggest that if you don't increase all these fees, that the Finance Committee should seriously consider additional review of the budget to determine whether or not you want to adopt a budget that is a more significant deficit than what we identified as for the 13th month was an allowable deficit, to consider that the budget is still balanced. So yes, I think if the revenue is decreased for the fiscal 14 budget by changing the fees that are represented here, then I would assume that you as a board and the Finance Committee would want to reevaluate the overall budget as well.
Okay, that sounds like fun. First, Mr. McGuire hasn't spoken to the issue yet.
You know, the budget has finally got to a position where it's getting a little bit better. We all expect our roads taken care of, the buildings taken care of, all those things. You know, the roofs are leaking. We've got problems with, you know, different facilities. We want to expand programs. We're 40 positions down still. These people have been working hard for the last 5 years to keep the county running. They've worked hard, and, you know, we want to try to move our budget forward and make things work effectively for the public, and that's what we're trying to do here, is pass a budget that we all might not really like, but at least we could live with to move forward and do something for our facilities and for our county and the people that work here to help things work more effectively and more efficiently. And I think that's what we'd like to try to do and get it done.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire. Mr. Alex?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to restate what Ms. Busey said in, I think, a somewhat more forceful terms. the fee increases that are being proposed in this year's budget, by her estimate, are on the order of $900,000. That is on the order of all the new spending that is proposed in this budget for facilities, for criminal justice-related programs, for public defender, for planning and zoning, basically for everything. So if you vote no on this, I'm certainly not going to be in favor of a budget that's got a $900,000 deficit in it. So I would argue that if we're going to vote no on these fees, we should schedule a special Finance Committee of the Whole meeting as soon as practical and determine how we're going to find the $900,000 that we aren't going to raise by raising these fees.
Ms. Petrie, then Mr. Quisenberry.
I just want to say to Finance Chair, Mr. Alex, that I appreciate that he has, on the public record, mentioned that he will put together certain individuals that he probably will choose to find out what is available within the county to help mitigate any onus on the lower income individuals. And for that reason, I will support the fees.
Mr. Quisenberry.
Yes, I'm gonna note that the previous resolution passed, and that that implies that a majority of this board wanted to move forward with posting that budget, which we will vote in November. And I would suggest that to then not fund it by not voting against this, if you voted for the previous budget, is not very responsible and constitutes trying to have your cake and eat it too.
Can I say we've exhausted the discussion on this issue, and let's move to a vote, please? Okay. All in favor of adoption ordinance 935, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Kurtz. We have one more item. Finance moves adoption of resolution number 8701, amending the schedule of authorized positions for the Champaign County Sheriff, Public Defender, and Court Services.
Second by Mr. Hartke. Any discussion on this issue? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There's no other business. Is there any other business?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we have an addendum. We're going to go, Mr. Quisenberry, please.
Mr. Chair, I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2 parentheses C, close parenthesis 1, to consider the employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of Champaign County. I further move that the following individuals remain present: County Administrator and the Recording Secretary. And I so move.
I need a roll call vote on this.
Quisenberry? Yes. Richards? Yes. Rosales? Yes. Schwartz? Yes. Alex? Yep. Bergson? Yes. Carter? Yes. Cowart? Yes. Esri? Yes. Harper? Yes. Hartke? Yes. James? Yes. Jay? Yes. Langenheim? Yep. Maxwell? Yes. McGuire? Yes. Michaels? Yes. Mitchell? Yes. Petrie? Yes. Kurtz?
Yes. Our motion carries. Also, I want to inform the board that we're going to go into recess, and after our discussion in closed session, we're coming out again for either the passage or failure of adoption resolution 8702. So we're now in recess. What's that? Please move into the Putman room for the closed session. Final resolution. Adoption of resolution number 8702, appointing the facilities director. Can I have a motion, please? So moved. Second by Mr. Mitchell. First, Mr. James. Hold on, wait 1 second. The name of this facilities director before you is Mr. Dana Brenner. Does someone call for a roll call? Mr. Maxwell, do I have a second on the roll call? Second by Mr. James. Any discussion at this point? None. Can I have a roll call vote, please? What? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, you have a
Yes.
comment?
I'm gonna go ahead and give in, but one reason, I'm gonna hold you to this. I'm gonna hold you to this policy that you are doing tonight. I'm gonna vote on it.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Roll call, please.
Quisenberry. Yes. Richards. Rosales. Schwartz. Alex.
Yes.
Bergson. Carter. Cowart.
I can't hear you, Ms. Cowart.
She said yes.
Okay.
Esri.
Yes.
Harper.
Yes.
Hartkey.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Langenheim.
Stepped out.
Or you abstain? Maxwell. McGuire.
Yes.
Michaels. Mitchell. Petrie. Kurtz.
Yes. Motion carries. Mr. Brenner is our new facilities director. And I'm calling for a motion to adjourn.
No,
Well, so,
recess.
what? Recess. Oh, that's right. We got to go back. We're still recessing. It's like high school. Back to recess. Recess.